That was Trey Wallace, ladies and gentlemen. Happy to have him join us live via the In My Own Words hotline. Wallace covering the Tennessee Volunteers for Fox Sports up in Knoxville, 105.7 FM, 1340 on the AM dial. He came on with touch-up Crimson Tide and the Volunteers for this weekend. But now we continue with the conversation on the phone line as we bring in Justin Smith now, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama magazine. Justin, how you feeling today?
Feeling pretty good today, Stephen. How are you doing?
Can't complain right here, Justin. I know your phone line is rocking. It's just ringing off the hook right now. The latest news and information coming to Alabama in recruiting as four-star defensive tackle Jamil Burrows decided to make a verbal commitment to the Tide. The young man at 6'2", 323 pounds out of Powder Springs, Georgia, the same place where Alabama got running back Kenyon Drake from in the 2012 class. Burrow gives the Tide its fourth defensive tackle commitment in this class, its sixth defensive line commitment, and its 23rd verbal commitment overall. How big was getting Burrows for this class, Justin? And Nick Saban continuing to spurn Kirby Smart on the recruiting trail, as this is the fifth commitment for the Tide from the state of Georgia.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty big commitment. I think that Burrows is a guy, although some recruiting rankings don't have him ranked high in their recruiting rankings, but Burrows is a guy that I think Alabama really likes. They have continued to recruit him. Even when he was committed to the Bulldogs, Alabama continued that push. He always talked about Alabama is still around. Alabama's team is a team that's still pushing, so I definitely feel that Alabama really wanted him, despite some recruiting rankings had him ranked on the lower side when you look at the 2020 recruiting class. I think Burrows is a huge pickup for the Tide. I saw him in action at the Nike opening regional in Atlanta in March, heading into the summer. And as I said in a breakdown video after Jamil Burrows committed, I said that he's a guy who keeps his arms extended. He knows how to work his arms. And when I saw him at the Nike opening regional in Atlanta, he performed well in one-on-one drills where you cannot just bull rush a guy and show your strength off. You have to use your hand technique. You have to show that you can move well with your hands to be successful in those drills. Burrows succeeded in those drills and was definitely one of the top prospects at that Nike opening regional event. In that particular performance that he had at the event, rewarded him a invitation to the Nike opening final in Texas. So I definitely think this is a huge pickup for the Tide as far as a guy that Alabama's coaching staff really wanted on their team.
Now, Justin, just to kind of make this clear here, you said he was not highly regarded on a lot of the other recruiting sites here, but doing what you do here for Touchdown Alabama magazine, why do you think in your mind the young man Burrows was kind of undervalued, kind of under the radar prior to him making that commitment to the Tide? What made him kind of underrated in your mind?
Well, I think the thing that possibly could make him underrated, he doesn't really have the fastest jump off the line, but which is something you like to see at the defensive tackle position nowadays. You really want a guy who has the size, but also you want a guy who can jump off the ball and get back there as quick as possible. But Burrows does have time to develop that and does have time to make that jump. I think that's the thing that really possibly held him back on some recruiting rankings. People feel that he's not possibly fast enough, but I definitely think he has the size at 6'2", 330 pounds. I think he's a very athletic kid. Another thing that I really like about Burrows is the fact that once he comes to make a tackle, he breaks down, spreads his feet, spreads his legs, and get into like a basketball stance, which is something you need your defensive tackle to get in once they're trying to make a stance. You need your defensive tackle to get in once they're trying to make tackles in the open field against speedy and explosive skill players. So that's something I think possibly held him back on some recruiting rankings, but I definitely think this is a guy that Alabama staff really like to get his commitment. So I think it's more the recruiting rankings probably have him low, but I definitely think this is a huge pickup for the Tide, as I think their staff really liked the Burrows.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are joined via the phone lines right now by Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama magazine, talking about one Jamil Burrows, the four-star defensive tackle for the 2020 class who has just recently committed to the Crimson Tide out of Powder Springs, Georgia. Now, Justin, Alabama on the defensive line, especially after this season, you can expect to lose Raekwon Davis off the defensive line. You can also expect to lose guys like Terrell Lewis and Anthony Jennings off the defensive front, despite the fact that you would return guys like Brian Ray, DJ Dale, Justin DeBoigbe, Byron Young, all five or the freshmen at Alabama signed on the defensive line, those guys would be back with the exception of Antonio Alfano, who was removed from the roster on today. So when you look at, all five, when you look at all six of these defensive line commitments so far for the 2020 class, who would be the guy right now or a couple of guys right now that should they sign come February or during the early signing period, but upon them signing, who is somebody on this list right now that's committed that you think the moment they get to Tuscaloosa, they are going to be a handful to deal with?
Well, the guy I know a lot of people may be surprised about what I say, but the guy who I feel could make that impact, the guy who I was really impressed with when I got a chance to see him, is 4-star defensive tackle Jamil Latham out of Pickens County High School in Reform, Alabama. When you look at Latham, he's a guy that really plays angry. And when I saw him play, he demanded so much from his teammates. He was a leader on the field, and he really played well. When I saw him on one play, basically just ran through a defender to get to the football. He's really athletic for a guy his size. He even plays basketball, so he's a very athletic kid. I think that's a guy who definitely could possibly make an impact at the next level for Alabama. I know a lot of people may feel, hey, he's not playing at that much competition at the 1A football level, but from what I've seen from Latham, I was very impressed, and I think he's going to surprise a lot of people once he gets to that next level and once he gets into Tuscaloosa and gets into Nick Saban's and Scott Cochran's strength and conditioning program. I think Latham is really going to shock a lot of people, and this is something that most people may not know, but when DJ Dale was coming out of high school, there was a time when Dale was ranked as a 3-star recruit, and Latham was ranked as a 3-star recruit at some point in his recruitment on other recruiting according to other recruiting rankings. So that is something very similar. As guys, DJ Dale was kind of underrated in the recruiting trail at some point, and I feel that Latham is definitely underrated at this point. I think he can make that jump. He definitely could make that impact at the next level, and I think he's going to shock a lot of people once he gets the opportunity. I was thoroughly impressed by the Pickens County product.
We got Justin Smith here on the line, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama magazine. I know you are busy, the phone blowing up on your end, Justin. So before we let you go here, also some news in regards to one Bryce Young, the quarterback at a Mater Dei High School in California, received his 5th star in terms of his recruiting ranking. Somebody that's very, very talented, a big-time dual-threat quarterback, very strong arm, can make the throws on the field, kind of has that same presence that Tua Tagovailoa brought in the 2017 recruiting cycle from Hawaii to the Crimson Tide. Does the Heisman, as where it is right now, should Tua Tagovailoa win this thing, do you think it adds an extra element for Bryce Young to sign, or is it regardless of whether Tua wins the Heisman or not, Bryce Young is going to sign because he wants to be at Alabama, he wants to work with or be coached by Steve Sarkisian? Does the Heisman matter in terms of Tua winning it when it comes to Bryce Young signing in February?
I don't think that Tua winning the Heisman has any bearing on Bryce Young's decision. I think that Young's decision to flip his verbal commitment from USC to Alabama was something that he really felt good about. I think he's solely locked in on the Tide. I think he had to feel very good to flip his commitment from his home state school and come all the way across the country to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. So I definitely think that is something that Bryce Young felt really comfortable about. As far as his 5-star ranking, we at Touchdown Alabama have always considered Bryce Young to be a 5-star quarterback, and I think he has some similarities to Tua as far as like their throwing abilities and them being transcendent quarterbacks in their respective recruiting classes, being 2 dual threat quarterbacks in their respective classes as well. But the thing that I really think separates Young from Tua is the fact that Young is more explosive with the ball in his hand when he escapes the pocket and makes plays with his feet. I think that Young is faster than Tua, and He's capable of doing more things with his feet than Tua is, especially coming out of high school.
He's Justin Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst, joining us here via the In My Own Words hotline to talk the latest news in Tide recruiting with Jamil Burrows, the 4-star defensive tackle, giving that verbal commitment to the Tide. Bryce Young earning that 5th star, and got big things going on this weekend. Alabama, Tennessee. Hope to see a lot of those top targets in Bryan Denny taking in the rivalry game. But Justin, appreciate you so much. I know you got a lot going on, but thank you for taking time to be with us today.
Thank you so much, Stephen. As always, everyone can check out the process every Monday and Wednesday on Touchdown Alabama's YouTube page. And I will be traveling to Georgia this weekend to check out Alabama's newest commit, 4-star defensive tackle Jamil Burrows, and his teammate and fellow Alabama commit Javon Baker. Thank you so much for allowing me on, Stephen.
Appreciate it, Justin. What's up, college football fans? You can catch the hottest show in the streets, that being In My Own Words, the podcast, every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Subscribe to Touchdown Alabama Magazine for the best in Tide football.